When no one showed up for Rachel Zegler's London play, she broke down. Another low point for Rachel Zegler has just occurred, and this time it's not a Twitter roast or meme. It's true. Live. In front of a vacant theater in London. Following the Snow White catastrophe, Rachel hoped her comeback moment would be her stage debut in Evita. However, spoiler alert, it's failing more than her previous movie. She is aware that ticket sales for her role in one of the most famous musicals ever are collapsing. Her press appearances physically convey the panic. It's not simply nerves either. It is regret. Because her woke remarks about Snow White continue to haunt her like a curse no matter how many months pass. In case you haven't heard, Rachel is playing Eva Perón in the London Palladium's West End production of Evita. This gig is enormous. Enormous. A facility with 2,286 seats. Lloyd Webber Andrew. Tim Rice. Renowned names. However, whole parts are not being sold. For example, early booking data shows that more than 70% of the seats are available. Even though some tickets are only €29.5, which is absurdly low for a production of this caliber, nobody is showing up. Even the first-class seats? Empty. In the meanwhile, there is an odd rift in public opinion on TikTok. A video from the most recent Met Gala shows Rachel receiving applause in the comments section while Gal Gadot, who did nothing newsworthy, receives criticism. Nevertheless, Rachel is the one with a theater that nobody wants to see. Seems as though the internet has completely collapsed. I made the decision to give it a try myself. I checked her show's booking page and sure enough, it's real. There are countless rows of seats available for each night in June, July, and August. Seems as though nobody even recalls her performance. Or perhaps they do, and simply no longer wish to assist her. Snow White isn't even relevant anymore. Concerns Rachel. She called the prince a stalker, trashed the original plot, and turned what should have been a nostalgic revival into a sermon, and people still don't forgive her. Not to mention that Snow White made over $200 million at the box office, and is still considered a failure. Why? Disney reportedly spent around $600 million on production, marketing, and reshoots. They secretly put their Tangled remake, which was supposed to be even more modernized and politically charged, on hold because the loss was so devastating. The fact is that this is more than simply a theater failure. It is a sign of a more serious issue. Hollywood's biggest cautionary story is Rachel Zegler. After just one significant role, West Side Story, the studios pushed her hard in an attempt to make her the next Disney face, but the public never approved it. Now that Snow White has failed and her theater seats are unfilled, the message is clear. Fans prefer genuineness over attitude. And you know what? Theater is truthful. Crowd cannot be edited. Turnout cannot be filtered. You'll be performing for empty seats if no one purchases a ticket. The fact that the same industry that can sell out Hamilton in a matter of seconds can't even fill half the seats for Rachel Zegler's Evita is quite amazing. Furthermore, this is a persistent pattern rather than merely a bad start or slow week. There are 2,286 seats at the London Palladium. The venue is enormous. Fans simply aren't showing up though, regardless of the price or the night. The worst part is that, according to them, the event had already sold $4 million worth of tickets before her casting was revealed. If that's the case, why are whole rows of seats still vacant? Reporters are pointing it out. Whether the $4 million figure was merely PR spin to generate phony hype and increase sales is already being questioned in Reddit forums. Chronology is nonsensical. How is it still so simple to get front row seats if so many tickets were sold out in advance? The harsh truth is that marketing can feign success in movies. However, in a theater, either there is a crowd or there isn't. This is not the time for Rachel to show up at the premiere and sit in the audience pretending to be part of the fans. This performance is live. She's performing. And giving a performance in front of 200 vacant seats? It's the kind of embarrassment that Hollywood public relations cannot hide. The fact that studios are still promoting her is even more absurd. As in, relentlessly. It's beginning to feel more like illusion than certainty. Executives are acting as though we will all fall in love with Rachel if they just make her appear on more stages, screens, and interviews. That's not how audience connection operates, to give you a hint. She's not the first, either. Hollywood has a lengthy history of attempting to impose the next big star on audiences before they are ready. Do you recall Sam Worthington? Courtney Jai? They had large roles and enormous expenditures, yet nobody seemed to care. Charm cannot be produced. Loyalty cannot be demanded. It must be earned. Even worse, Rachel's reputation was already in jeopardy because her theater performance coincided with her Snow White criticism. Similar to putting your shoes off and walking a tightrope. Before she became the face of contemporary Hollywood scandal, some claim that her Broadway performance in Romeo and Juliet was a success, earning $7 million. Fans no longer think, wow, star power, when they see her name on a marquee. Oh great, another Disney lecture in disguise, they thought. And the depressing aspect? It's possible that Rachel has skill. However, talent isn't the point here. It all comes down to timing, attitude, and whether or not the general audience is still open to listening. There is no safety net with live theater. You can sense it if nobody claps or turns up. Kitchen every night. Now, this isn't about whether Rachel Zegler is a bad person or cancel culture. However, we cannot deny that her interviews have influenced her public image more than her performances. And the spirit that continues alienating viewers is one of condescension, dismissal, and excessive politics. Recently, a TikTok fan revealed her first-hand account of meeting Rachel. To put it mildly, that didn't help her at all. The atmosphere? Chilly. Far away. Not at all what fans had hoped for. Nevertheless, media outlets continue to portray Rachel as a rising star. The Golden Globe winner. The new love interest in Hollywood. Let's face it though, this seems like legacy PR attempting to enhance an already unsatisfactory outcome. The Hunger Games prequel, her final significant endeavor, went well, but not because of her. Even with fumes, that franchise could still draw large audiences. Tickets were sold by Hunger Games, not by Rachel Zegler. Hollywood, meanwhile, continues to support her as if they had placed a wager they cannot afford to lose. Because it's not just Rachel's reputation on the line if they acknowledge that she was miscast in Snow White, or that viewers simply don't relate to her. The executives are the ones that endorsed her. Since the failure, Spielberg and those who supposedly first proposed Rachel for Snow White have remained strangely silent. It's almost as if they're praying that everything will end quietly. There are even rumors that Snow White co-star Gal Gadot was annoyed by the atmosphere behind the scenes as well as the criticism. She has been quietly complaining about the lack of professionalism on set, according to recent sources. She hasn't mentioned names. But really, who else might it be? And the bigger problem here is that could be Rachel's voice. She may be attractive. However, she appears to lack the fundamental knowledge that Hollywood is about more than just acting. It's about connecting. You must gain people's trust. You must show consideration for your audience. People will remember you if you attack the classics, make fun of fan favorites, and label beloved tales as weird. Because of this, her fame feels forced and phony despite her talent. Not natural. Not merited. The worst thing? She is not alone in the consequences. All of the actors, crew members, and creatives that put a lot of effort into Snow White and now see it called a disaster, all of them are afflicted with the same perception. Due to the mindset of one individual, studios are now changing their strategies as a result. Not by declaring her cancellation, but rather by gradually removing her from important roles. It's the equivalent of ghosting in Hollywood. You might be the star of a reboot one day and then completely absent the next. Although Rachel Zegler may continue to make appearances at awards events and press rounds, the star-making machine is definitely slowing down. Quick. What can we learn from all of this, then? Although Rachel Zegler's career is obviously on hold, it isn't over. Not due to her lack of skill. Not because she produced a single subpar film. However, she failed to remember the one rule that all public figures, actors, and influencers should abide by: the audience chooses the winner. Not the news reports. Not the directors of casting. The supporters. Her goal was to become the next big thing in Hollywood. Gave her the press attention, the roles, and the prizes. However, the section where she needed to connect was omitted. To truly merit it. And now? The repercussions are being witnessed live on stage, in ticket sales, and in comment sections worldwide. We sincerely hope Rachel takes this as a lesson, 'cause nobody enjoys seeing talent squandered. However, if she doesn't, there will be another person who understands, who values the job, welcomes the fans, and prioritizes the tale over politics. Share your thoughts with us. Was Rachel singled out unfairly? Or is Hollywood making an excessive effort to impose a star on this situation? Please share your ideas in the space provided below. We will read each and every one of them. Additionally, don't forget to click the subscribe button if you want more in-depth analyses like this one. I'll see you later.